Evening. And thank you for taking some time to come out tonight to hear about our math, technology, and computer science departments here at Sacred Heart Schools. Tonight you're going to hear from the math team at the lower middle school. You're going to hear from the interim principal, Francesca Brake. You're going to hear from the dean of academics of the high school, Karen Felice, the department chair from math from the high school, and the department chair of our computer science department. And then Dr. Everett will close the evening, but you will also hear from our director of technology as well this evening. I think tonight's going to be a very, very informative evening. This evening came about really with the lower and middle school parent association meeting back in the fall, when people were questioning, what do you do with technology in the classroom? How do you integrate it? How is the math program? What are you doing? You know, math programs in every school are scrutinized. And we got, as an administration, we thought it's time to put out exactly what we do here at Sacred Heart Schools with our math program from, lower middle, especially middle school and the high school. And you will hear this evening. So again, thank you for coming. And I will be around at the end of this evening if you have any questions for me later on. Enjoy the night. Francesca?
Hi, and welcome. I wanted to give you an overview and some goals that we have for tonight. And we chose to put this, one of our goals and criteria, as leading what we do here at Sacred Heart Schools. The goal for us tonight is to provide you with an understanding of what we do in the middle school program all the way through 12th grade, and how that looks and what we are doing very deliberately that builds a strong foundation onto for our students as they progress to the prep. We're also going to be reviewing the goals and milestones we have for middle school at each level, at 6th grade, at 7th grade, and 8th grade. And while I'm looking at this wide range of families here, I know that some of you are just entering the middle school program, and some of you are soon to be graduating and going over to the prep. So this is really designed to be an overview. We will be available after this program to answer any questions you might have. As a parent, you're sitting there with your child's math plan right at the front and center. And if you have those questions, we invite conversations after. This is not the first time, the last time you're going to be hearing this. This isn't an ongoing conversation. So please, in that spirit, let's get into this evening. So what do we want? What are our hopes for our students in middle school? Well, we want them to be critical thinkers. We want them to be agile thinkers. We want them to have one of the drivers for our math program is we want them to persevere. We want, when they see a problem that maybe they haven't seen before, we want them to go back to their strong foundation and say, wait, I think I've seen something like this. And then what we want them to do is apply it to the real world and take what they have in their classrooms and apply it to the wide world around them. So now I'm to use this clicker and not press the button on the top. So this is a graph that really spoke to us as a math department, and I'm going to walk you through this evening with the goal here of finding that perfect balance for our students. So we know if we just drill and kill, skills, boredom's going to set in. So we can't just keep going along the horizontal line. We also know if we load students with material they're not ready for, they don't have the cognitive skills and abilities ready to understand that problem, we know that anxiety and frustration is going to set in. And that's when you hear kids saying, I hate math, I don't understand math, I'm not good at math, and that's the last thing we want. So what we want to do is find that balance, and each one of your children, just as individuals as you are, where they fit on this continuum is different for every single one of them. And we look at each child as an individual, kind of a case-by-case basis. Okay, I'm going to turn this over to Jessica Hogue, who is our math specialist in the middle school, But these are the really the drivers and what we look at in our math program. So,
what I want to speak to is our philosophy, our mission in the middle school in regards to teaching and how our kids learn. We feel it is vital for student success, not only in the math classroom, but in real life, if they are key problem solvers, if they, like Francesca mentioned, if they're able to dive into a problem and persevere through that, the confidence that they build and the concepts and the skills that they will gain from those moments is really key to their overall success. And another thing up there that we feel is so important is developing that reasoning capability. Are they able to justify what they're doing? Not just can they go through a problem step by step, but what does it mean to do that? So we really feel that it's vital for their success that they're able to do that. And another key one up there is attend to precision. We feel that obviously show your work. That's what we've all heard through the years, but it's really important that they're able to organize their thoughts in a way that they arrive at an answer that not only can they justify, but they can plug into a real world situation and say, yeah, that makes sense. So these are just some key things that no matter what class they're in, no matter what level they're in, we're really reinforcing these key skills and these standards of practice. So with that, what does our program look like from grade level to grade level? Lindsay O is going to speak to you about what's 6th grade and how it builds up to 8th grade. Lindsay?
Okay, so what do we most effectively implement the standards that we just saw here? Well, we believe that it is through a clearly defined set of focuses in each grade level. So this leads to the following grade level goals in our middle school math, which is for 6th grade, organization, 7th grade, application, and for 8th grade, reasoning. So math is one of the subjects that I believe that we as a department would believe that whose skill sets are built in a pyramidal shape. So the more solid the bottom layer of a pyramid is, the stronger and more stable the added material will be settling on top. So we believe that organization skills is a fundamental and such crucial base layer for a child's success in math. Therefore, our focus and goal in the 6th grade math is organization. Our key goal gauging question would be, are students able to organize their problem-solving thought processes in methodical and thorough ways? How we will implement this goal is through defining some milestones. So as you can see up here, there are 4 specific milestones that we have set out to achieve. But what this really boils down to is that we focus on our children to be students who can speak the language of math in an organized manner. So no numbers everywhere on paper without any work where we can follow 5 here, x there, and equation there. So none of that, So our win for the 6th grade is a child who can display their thought processes and number sense in a comprehensive, explainable, and reproducible manner. Now, these children will enter the 7th grade to build the secondary layer of their middle school math pyramid, so to speak. Here, our department has a focus around application. What does this mean? Well, simply put, a goal gauging question we can ask ourselves is, are students able to think critically and solve problems that are dealing with a variety of applications? So 7th grade is really the year where their math toolbox, so to speak, gets really heavy. And we want the children to not only receive those different tools from us, but also apply the right tools to solve a given problem. And that's what application really means here. We believe that organization skills are such a critical prerequisite to becoming a student who can freely apply their knowledge and math concepts in different math situations. Finally, in order to ensure our students' success at the prep and beyond, we focus on reasoning skills for the 8th grade as our department goal. This means, are the students able to think logically and provide a sufficient level of reasoning for a given problem? As you can see here, the milestones for the 8th grade are really a compilation and extension of the milestones from their 6th and 7th grade goals. We believe that by equipping students to be organized and be diverse in their problem-solving ways, we will successfully educate them to be critical and logical thinkers who can freely justify their work in their math world and even beyond. And now, before Francesca presents the next topic, we thought some math in action would speak louder than a lot of words I just said. So I would like to leave you with a short clip that some of my students have put together in our math elective course. So enjoy.
I think I left my phone here yesterday. You know the lemonade stand gets pretty crazy around lunchtime.
Oh, yeah. Here it is. But some girl came by and changed the password. She said that you were annoying. However, she did leave the 4 numbers to the passcode on the phone.
What? Same phone as you.
You got
got.
10 minutes.
Blast off. I don't know what the passcode to my phone is, but the guy at the lemonade stand said that it's these numbers. I just don't know what order they're in.
I know you can do. You can put in numbers in random order until you get the right answer. But how long would that take? How many combinations would you have to try?
I know. Solve the equation 4 times 3 times 2 times 1.
I know what it is. It's 24.
So it would take at most 24 tries.
Oh.
Wait, it's not my iPad, is it? Oh, no, it is.
2,
Oh, I'm talking.
3, 4, 5, 6.
Oh, I got it in my phone.
So that looks a little different than the textbooks that you and I learned our probability algorithm. So how does this look in 6th grade? What does this look like as your child moves into the 6th grade, moves into the middle school? And here are the paths for 6th, 7th, and 8th. And I know you're sitting there saying, well, how does my child, how do you, as the educators, as the academic team, decide where to place my student? And so what we want to let you know is that we take a multiple of variables into account, just as I referenced when I showed you the graph. That looks different for each of your child. So yes, we do look at ERB scores, and yes, we do look at ISEE scores for those students who are new to us, who are incoming into the middle school. We look at their grades when we look at teacher recs. We want you to know that this is fluid, and this, we as a math department have continual conversations about the groupings and the students. What we also put right next to the 8th grade path, if you will, is the 9th grade at Sacred Heart Schools. And so to better talk about that path, we're going to invite representatives from the prep up to take it from here.
Hi, I'm Karen Felice, Assistant Principal for Academics. I'm looking forward to meeting the new 8th grade parents next year as 9th grade parents. Your children come into the prep well qualified to succeed in math and thrive in math. Our program at the high school builds upon those strong foundational principles that have been established in middle school. Our job is to place your children properly into a path that will help them meet their best success. We do offer a great deal of flexibility, so and you'll find out a little bit more about that, but placement in 9th grade is because that's the right placement, but it doesn't mean that we don't offer room for growth over the course of the next 4 years. At the prep, your children will be assigned an academic advisor whose sole job is to help your child thrive in our rigorous curriculum. And that person will work directly with your child to make sure that he or she is on the right path for success. To help you understand what those multiple pathways are, I'm going to introduce Elizabeth Blanford, our department head for math.
It's a complex diagram, and I will break this down into its component parts, grouping by the various starting points. But I just wanted you to get an overview that there are really very many paths that our students can take, and that our goal is to offer challenging options that best fit the student's ability and interest. I thought that slide said it perfectly. The right blend of challenge with drill. We really do want to have students feel successful, and so we like to think we've done this by offering many different options. Before I go on to actually describing the different paths, I thought you might be interested in seeing the distribution of freshmen. This is a fairly typical in recent years, this breakdown. We have a bit less than a fifth of our students taking Algebra 1, and about 3/5 doing either geometry or geometry honors. And then the remaining 1/4 to 1/5 are doing an Algebra 2 course of some kind. Placement is done very thoughtfully, and we really do try and look at all the data that we have. It's based on, obviously, the 8th grade math course, middle school grades, teacher recommendations, also the high school placement test scores that were given, especially the quantitative scores, and then our own math placement test, which takes place in May. And so we look at all the data, and we really try and fit the student into the best course. So here's a student who starts in Algebra 1. That student very likely will have already done Algebra 1, either coming from middle school or from some other school, but for some reason has not managed to fully internalize the material. It may just be a long-term retention issue. It's actually most likely to do with the adolescent cognitive development and maturity. They just were not quite ready for this level of abstract thinking. And because Algebra 1, we believe, is utterly foundational to success in the rest of a student's high school experience, we really believe that students who we think would benefit from doing Algebra 1 in the 9th grade, we really want them to do that, because they might be able to fake it in geometry, but believe me, Algebra 2 will be a disaster. Notice that students who start in Algebra 1, they have good options, certainly by the time they're seniors. And you might also notice that we do have what we call a summer geometry jump for students who do very well in Algebra 1. They get an A- or higher. We have a mechanism by which they can do a full geometry course either at the prep or at another school if that works out better with their summer plans. But it needs to be a full geometry course. And those students, providing they pass it at the prep or get be it another school's summer course, can then go on to Algebra 2 as 10th graders, and you can see their pathways. Each of these steps usually has a prerequisite of some kind to move on, so that's why there are different pathways. The next slide shows the student who's we are satisfied has mastered their Algebra 1, and so they're starting either in geometry or geometry honors. And there's often a little bit of angst about a student who places into geometry versus geometry honors. But please notice that the student who starts in geometry just ends up with perfectly splendid options by the time they're in 11th grade, if they meet the prerequisite, which many, many students do for pre-calculus AB honors, they are eligible to do with the prerequisite of advanced placement calculus AB, advanced placement statistics, and we also have, because we acknowledge that not everybody has to be good at math, we just want to make sure that students have a good experience in math and that we do continue to challenge them and offer appropriate courses. And so we have a number of options at the 12th grade level. The student who starts in geometry honors and stays in that track all the way through would end up doing advanced placement calculus BC, but both AB and BC are fine advanced placement courses. And then for our superstars who start at the Algebra 2 or Algebra 2 Trig honors level, they would be doing an advanced placement calculus course as juniors. And then there are other advanced placement courses, like if they did AB as a junior, they could do BC or statistics as a senior. Or indeed, they could enroll in our advanced topics in math honors, which is meant to be our post-calculus course. All this is on our website, and if you have any questions, feel free to contact any of us, and we will be happy to walk you through this, because I know it's pretty complicated. And with that, I'm going to hand you over to our very own Kevin Morris, who is heading up our computer science department.
My name's Kevin Morris. I'm the chair of the computer science department. Before I get to my slide, I actually wanted to share a little anecdote with you. I teach AP computer science, and a couple days ago, in preparation for this meeting, I happened to have 3 students in my classroom, and these are 3 of our absolute best and brightest students. We're not supposed at this point in time to ask seniors kind of where they're going to college, but I know that one of them got in early to Stanford and is waiting to hear what Harvard has to say. One got in early to Princeton and is kind of waiting to hear what MIT has to say. The other one has equally great choices. And I just in preparation for this meeting said, tell me about your math sequence, where you ended up. One of the students, I'm going to try to make up names so you can keep their, but one of them was the bottom path Elizabeth mentioned. Started as a freshman in Algebra 2 honors, took Calc BC as a junior, is now in our advanced topics class. And I said, was that the right choice for you? And she said, yeah, that was fine. I was ready for that class. It seemed like the right choice for me. The next student actually was a path earlier than that. So this student didn't go to this school. Her school didn't offer geometry in 8th grade, so she started she took Algebra 1 in 8th grade, started with us in geometry honors as a freshman, and ended up, she's currently in the Calc BC class. And I kind of asked her, do you feel like you were behind, sort of? And at that point, everybody else started laughing, because her schedule is Calculus BC, AP Computer Science, AP Physics C. She's into these fantastic schools, and the other students said, yeah, you're really behind, like you're going to go to some terrible school, right? And then the third student I thought was the most telling. The third student also started in geometry honors, and I said, what did you think? And he said, well, it's interesting you mentioned that, because I've really thought that, there were some people at the time pushing me to maybe go on in Algebra 2 honors, and he said, looking back as an 8th grader, I wasn't ready for that. And that actually as I look back now, if I'd been pushed into that honors track, I know I'm not, I'm a good student, but I'm not incredible at math, and actually I know had I started there, at some point I might have dropped out of the honors track, and that student now is in Calculus BC, and he really actually conveyed to me that he felt like he wouldn't have been there had he been pushed early. I just shared that story because I know there's some anxiety about what track am I on. Again, all 3 of these students, my gosh, the choices they're going to have for college are absolutely incredible, and and they're some of our best and brightest and most amazing students. I'm here actually to talk about this slide, which is our computer science program, which has changed a little bit in the last couple of years. This year, for the first time, every freshman, or almost every freshman, takes a class we call CS1, Exploring Computer Science. It's meant to be a survey course. It's a one-semester class. We touch on a lot of different things, really with the goal of demystifying technology. You know, computers are so present in our students' lives. We want them to not understand a little bit of how they work. So it's a little bit of programming. The students make their own web pages. We buy a domain name. We actually have them open up a case and install some memory and set up a wireless station. And really it's just meant for those students to really kind of demystify technology and kind of understand what's actually going inside the black box and touch on a lot of different topics. Virtually every freshman takes that class. There's a little bit, there's probably 90% of them. There's a little bit, the students who start in the year long of fine arts do not. But I'll say yes, right? Although there's a handful of students who don't. Kind of looking ahead, we were excited actually there's a curriculum now that actually a student could have a kind of a fantastic 4-year experience in computer science. We have a programming class called CS2 that's Java and JavaScript, meant to be a year-long programming class. A student's interested in more of the hardware side can take a robotics class. Usually that's junior or senior year. I teach the AP Computer Science class, and some students get into that class by taking the CS2 class as a prerequisite, and other students who are kind of our honors level students never take that programming class and just go straight into AP Computer Science. This year there's about 50 students at the prep taking AP Computer Science out of a senior class of about 150. Gives you some sense. It's a pretty popular class. Right now those are our 4 courses. We've changed the graduation requirements a little bit, so we do believe that actually at some point we'll have more juniors taking AP Computer Science, and we're ready to have those post-AP classes probably by the time your 8th graders get to us. The last bullet I just wanted to mention, those are technically the courses that organizationally in our computer science department. There's other computer-y courses throughout the school. A lot of our kind of techie students fulfill their fine arts requirement with a course kind of in digital media. And there's lots of opportunities to work on the yearbook and the paper, which actually do a lot of design layout. Technically not in the computer science department, but they're our friends too.
So leading into that, we're very lucky here. We've been blessed with a plethora of technology resources, all the way from the active boards in the younger grades, all the way through the iPads and Chromebooks and computer labs that we have available to the students. And the one thing that is a constant is that technology is a tool. It's just one of the tools that our teachers use to reach our students and to help them learn. And so what is available and what is right for the students to use in the younger grades changes as the students move along, and they use them in different ways. For example, how many of you are 5th grade parents right now? So you guys just have seen that the students have kind of transitioned from the computers to the iPads. So they have learned, right now they're in the transition stage where they're learning about cloud computing. And we felt that this was a really good time after the students had learned computers and what does a computer mean and what does it mean about file structure, to now start to move them into this mobile world. And they're learning about when you put it on the computer that it can go on your iPad, it can go on your phone, and that this cloud computing is something that we just think is magical. And the kids can actually view that. And so what that leads them into is this mobile world where we're taking them for 6th grade through high school, at least at this time. Our goal, remember, is to prepare them for the 22nd century. So we're constantly trying to help forward think with these kids of where they're going to be and to try to prepare them to understand that the tool's going to constantly change and how to adapt with that. Very similar to what they're doing in math. How do you apply? How do you reason? How do you change as you go along and adapt? We believe that it should be integrated in the curriculum. Remember, it's a tool, so it needs to be infused in the curriculum. And to the point about coding and things, we want that also infused. We don't want this course of just do technology, go into a room and do technology, the old-fashioned computer lab. We want it to be a part of what they do, that it's just another tool they pull out and they use it. They use these apps for different things. We want a progression of these tools and these skills, and we want to understand that progression. The National Education and Technology Society has developed a set of standards, and these are K through 12 standards that we want to make sure are being applied as these students go through the grades. And those standards are constantly being looked at and changed. We also want to continually evaluate our needs, and this kind of ties into what Kevin was talking about and Francesca when they were talking about this Day of Code. When the Day of Code happened, it really brought a lot of excitement to the students and to the teachers. We also have the students doing some things with using the Lego Mindstorms, where they're actually doing some robotics, and some of that are in enrichment classes. But what that does is it helps us generate excitement and see about things that we want to include in our overall program. And lastly, we want to make sure that our kids are appropriately using technology, and we want to help them with that. So we've actually had some sessions for parents, and we have them for students, where we teach them what is appropriate use of technology and what is that virtual world all about. And how do you go in there and you're still the child of the Sacred Heart in that virtual world, not just when you're here on campus. So I'm happy to answer any questions. We're about to finish up, and several of us are going to be around the back to answer any questions, and I'm here as well. James?
Good evening. I suspect that some of you who are fifth grade parents are thinking that why do you have to listen to me talk? But it's going to happen quickly. And before long, you're going to be banging down my door wanting to talk about math placement, which is the subtext of this whole evening. I want to put it out there that we are completely aware of the fact that anxiety around math placement is real, and that there's a direct correlation between your anxiety as a parent of a math student and our job satisfaction that we are aware of and interested in putting your child in the appropriate math class. Because what we know from many, many years of data, we're lucky that Kevin Morris has been in our math department. Well, he's really been in our math department since he was a student at the school. But he's been a strong leader in our math department for the last 20 years. And so we have tons of data that drives our decision making around how we place students in math and students, which students are successful at what particular moment in their math career. And so we are super attentive to your child's individual needs. And what's really important to us is that you remember, first and foremost, Sacred Heart education is about the education of a human being, and that we consider math in the context of their overall development, not just their math placement strictly for college placement or to fast track a kid in terms of math. And so we know your anxiety is real. We appreciate it. We care deeply about your kids, and we will work with you. And we will be a very careful and thoughtful gatekeeper to math. We aren't going to just let kids advance in math for the sake of advancing. I say this to encourage you and to reduce your anxiety, that we care about your kids and we care about them as human beings first and foremost. I hope you have a successful end of your middle school career, regardless of which grade you're in, and that we look forward to seeing you in the high school very, very soon. I think people are going to be around in the back. Siri wants to know which class. Yeah. Are other people having Siri issues where all of a sudden she just starts talking? I have her turned off and she comes on. Yeah. So I didn't realize until this evening either that computer science is an emerging anxiety. So we're on it. We promise. We're on it. So the math teachers, Elizabeth, Kevin, middle school math teachers are going to be around the back for you to ask specific questions. Thank you for coming, and hopefully this evening has been really helpful to you in understanding our math programs.